Hello, hello, hello. Good afternoon, everyone. It's Amanda with the Content Marketing Institute. Thank you so much for joining me from our Monday Ask the CM World Community live stream. Is getting better at producing videos on your 2022 to-do list? It's on mine. It was also on mine last year, so I might be a little behind here. Maybe you're creating videos and want to up your production value. Maybe you haven't even started yet and you want to learn some things. Well, then you are in the right place for today's live stream. You can find us here Mondays at noon Eastern in the US, and each week we dive into a new topic with an awesome guest from our CM World community. This live stream is brought to you by the Content Marketing Institute. We are the leading training and education organization for all things content marketing. We run the biggest content marketing event in the world, Content Marketing World. And you can learn all about us and read our daily articles at contentmarketinginstitute.com. Okay, as always, if you're joining us on Monday, please drop me a line. Say hello virtually. Let me know where you are joining us from. You know, it makes for a more engaging live stream when we can hear from you. As I said, today's topic, by now, we all know that video is a powerful tool in our storytelling arsenal. Our annual research found that 69% of B2B marketers and 72% of B2C marketers plan to spend more moolah on video this year. So we've done a few live streams now on various video topics, but today I really wanted to dive into the 101 of video storytelling. So we're going to have some tactical tools, techniques to take you from the pre-production process all the way through post-production. All right, I see Brian is joining us from Rochester. Hello, Brian. Thank you for joining us. So my question for the day is, what does your video production process look like? What sort of tools are you using? Do you have a dedicated video producer? Are you guys just all sort of trying to figure it out on your own? Please let me know. I'd be curious to see what you guys are doing. Okay. This is it. I don't know if this guy even needs an introduction. He's a good friend of ours here at CMI. Andrew Davis is a best-selling author and an internationally acclaimed keynote speaker. In fact, I think he's one of our most, if not the most popular keynote at our event, Content Marketing World, every year. But before he got into marketing, he produced for the Today Show. He worked for the Muppets. He wrote for Charles Kuralt. So he has a little bit of TV production skills. And so now he's using that to create some wicked good videos teaching business leaders how to grow their business. Thank you for joining us.
Hey, thanks for having me. I love that you said wicked good videos.
I know.
Wicked good. I spent 20 years in New England, and it's like, to be wicked good, there's nothing better.
That's exactly why I dropped that in there.
Thank you.
And because they really are like wicked good videos. So before we dive into everything today, again, if you're just joining us, please drop us a wave. We love to see where you guys are joining us from.
Hey, Brian.
Okay, so I'm going to start by showing two clips from just one of your videos, because I think this really shows like camera angles, video transitions, sound effects, I'm in awe of Andrew's video ability. So let's take a look here.
I am here in a parking lot in Boston, Massachusetts, just admiring this beautiful Ford F-150. Now in 2020, Ford spent $2.8 billion on advertising. The result? Over 787,000 of these vehicles were sold in the United States. But you want to know something crazy? There is one car company that is blowing Ford Motors out of the water in both terms of growth and sales. And they've spent pretty much zero on advertising. I know it sounds crazy, but it's just one more step in our crazy quest to find out, does advertising really work? Well, we're going to break it down in this episode of The Loyalty Loop. Even effectively wasting money on advertisements that just don't work as well as they say they do. And I'm not the only one who's a little down in the dumps about this concept either. One set of researchers looked at 500 companies, and they found that 84% of them declined in value. Less than 10% of their product launches were successful, and the average return on investment was 4%. Other researchers found that doubling your advertising budget only increases your return on investment from 1 to 2%. So sad. Now, I've given this whole advertising thing a lot of thought, and I mean a lot of thought. And I think there are 3 lessons we can all take away from what we've learned. Lesson 1, don't give ads credit where credit isn't due. Yes, don't give an ad a credit for even...
Sorry.
That was all right. I liked it.
So before I get started, like the guy in the background when you're with your car, like was he like, what is this guy doing? Like when you pulled your car in?
Honestly, one of the first things you have to learn to get over when you're going to decide to do video is like people looking at you weird no matter where you are doing video. It's like if you're self-conscious about it, I mean, I still am self-conscious about it. You just got to kind of keep plowing through.
I know when you have everything all set up, they're all like so curious, but
yeah,
all right.
Exactly. They really are.
What is your process? So I honestly don't think unless you're like really into video production, they can really appreciate like how much you put into like every single camera angle that you're and transitions like, but so very first, what is your process? Like, what do you start with? Scripting? What?
Yeah. Okay. So like very first I start with like an idea board I have on Notion, and I just like Notion is like a tool to just keep track of things. And I have like all these ideas of videos I could do. And essentially I work with a friend of mine named Rachel who helps me write these scripts. But when I started out in the very beginning, the first thing I do is pick an idea and write a script. And I actually printed out the script for that exact video that you just showed, Amanda. So I will show you guys what the script looks like. This is a script for that exact video. There's like a list of all the props I'm going to need so that I make sure I have those props. And then essentially I break it down with audio on one side and like the video ideas on the other side. Oh, sorry. It keeps like refocusing. I'll have to fix that. Here, hold on. I'll hit the button and then I'll hit, okay, fine. You don't care. It's perfect. It doesn't matter. You're not really reading it anyway, but it's like, here's like my first bit, right? Like, hi, I'm here in Boston, Massachusetts, admiring this beautiful Ford Mustang car. I didn't know if we'd find a Ford Mustang, but that's what I wrote it for, right? So when it was a Ford F-150 that I found in the parking lot, I just changed it on the fly. But this entire script has everything I'm supposed to have for every single shot, right? And it's basically a recipe to create the video. Now, I don't recommend creating videos without something like this, honestly, because when I first started out, I didn't do this. I just sometimes had note cards. I would just ramble. Then I would realize I don't have the shots I need to make the video a really good video. Then I would realize, oh my gosh, I forgot to say something. I should have said something there. I'd have to like try to figure out how to sandwich it in. And what happened was my editing costs like skyrocketed because I'd realized as I'm watching the edit that I was paying someone else to do, or even when I was doing it myself, that this is like, I need to fix this stuff. So what I've done is use the script to create the most efficient and effective production process possible. Without the script, everything else is kind of a crap show. So first is find an idea, then write a script. Then I actually schedule the time to shoot. And no matter where I am in the world, like that for that video, I was in Boston, but I travel a lot. So I bring along my video kit. I shoot the video. I upload everything to online, and I have an editor, Sean, who helps me edit them. Now, in the beginning, I was editing them myself on Final Cut. So I just go back to the hotel room, open up Final Cut, download all the videos, and then I would cut stuff together. And then the last and final thing is kind of really reviewing the edit and being kind of ruthless with what needs to be there and what you should cut. And the more you do that, the better you get at writing the next script. So we've learned a lot, even since we wrote this script, we've learned a ton. So that's the overall video production process, pretty simple.
So you're pretty much like, I mean, you had like a million different camera shots in that video. Like I should have went and counted them. So you're literally scripting out like, I'm going to go here in a park and I'm going to be here. Like you're literally planning that all out.
Yeah, like here, I'll show you. Like there, it says right here, Andrew pulling into Webb Memorial State Park in car and parking, right? Andrew leaning against the car. Wow. Like that's what I did. Andrew leaning against a bench. Well, there wasn't actually a bench there. So I just like, right? But basically, I'm trying to make sure that I know what I need to script where so that I'm really effective when I'm shooting the production. what used to happen is I would be like, oh, this is a good spot to shoot. I'll start here. And then I'd move and I'd forget what I said there. And then I was like, is this going to actually cut together? I don't know. Is it a close up? Was that a wide shot? And then I'd be looking at the camera. So all of a sudden, what could be a 2-hour shoot would turn into a 4.5-hour, very frustrating shoot. So now with the script, I basically have the script usually on my phone or print it out if I finish the script before I left town. I print it out and I highlight what I've completed like through the shot list so that I'm never confused and wondering, did I do that? Because for example, like the efficiencies of production, you know, Amanda, come from being able to say, well, I'm going to start the video here and I'm also going to end the video here. So I shoot the start and the end right there, right?
Okay.
But I don't like come back to shoot the end at the same place I started the video. And it makes it a lot more efficient, but without a shot list and without a script, it's kind of a nightmare.
Say, do you ever have to go back and reshoot something? Just curious. Like, oh, that didn't work out right, or the edit looks stupid.
Okay, let me. Here's the little secret. First of all, the production part of this is the part I hate the most, and I cannot tell you how many times I have realized after shooting like for 20 minutes that the microphone is not working, or like I'm out of focus. It's so yes, I have to reshoot stuff. It's awful. Like but you know, you learn a ton about the kinds of things you need to constantly check. So like, you know, I don't have a written checklist, but now I have a checklist in my mind every time I set up a new shot. And I like make sure, is the mic on? Like, can I see the little bouncy lines? Yes, the mic is on. Okay, great. You know, how much battery do I have left? Can I see myself in focus? Like I bought an extra external monitor for my camera so I could make sure I was in focus, because if you go back and look at some of my old videos, I'm constantly out of focus. And even though a lot of these really great cameras and gadgets have like autofocus, a lot of times they would focus on the wrong thing, or, you know, so.
The camera is only as good as the user, Andrew.
That's so true. You got to know how to use the technology. And that has been probably the biggest struggle for me. And here, I'll tell you another secret. I had enlisted my wife, Elizabeth, who's very patient and awesome, as my like production assistant occasionally. And she has resigned from that position because of the frustrating way in which I work with her when I'm trying to be the production manager, the camera talent, the prompter operator, and the talent in front of the camera. Like it's actually easier by myself at this point.
It's better on your marriage.
Oh my Lord, I think it might be the only thing that saved our marriage during the pandemic was demoting her and she retiring from being the video production person. So
I can see that. If you were just joining us, we are talking about tactical tools for video production. Andrew Davis, if you have not seen any of his videos, go to his YouTube page, search Andrew Davis. I mean, they're not just informative, which they are, they're just entertaining. And that's why we're kind of walking through how he does his videos. Lisa is joining us from St. Louis, I believe. Ken from Atlanta. We have people from all over joining us, South Africa as well. So Alexis.
South Africa, that's where I grew up.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I grew up in Johannesburg.
Oh, I didn't know that. You learn something every day. Well, Alexis wants to know, do you have a template for your script and video shots?
Oh yeah, I mean, I actually could. I can share that with you, Amanda, and you can send it out. It's just a Google Doc. It's really, really simple, and it's just a 2-column format. Like I just create a table. One column is audio, one column is video, and I usually do put in shot numbers in case I'm like really confused or I'm working with an editor. So I can say like, hey, at block 002, like I don't have that cache shot or whatever it is. So it's pretty simple. Just set up a table and then just start writing. And the key is to really make sure that your audio and your video ideas match up. And you'll save a ton of money and time, and you'll get a better final edited product if you're working with an external editor, like when you give them a script. Honestly, think of it like a recipe. If you're going to make a cake or you're going to tell someone how to make a cake, you know, you could do it and say like, oh, you take some flour and some water and some eggs and some sugar and you mix it up. And you're going to get a cake, but it might not be a great cake. That's what a lot of video producers do. They or you know, people that want to create video, they just shoot a bunch of stuff and then shove it on an editor and hope for the best. Yeah. But if you want really good cake, you got to write out the recipe before you give it to the baker, right? We've got to do the same thing. Write out a recipe for your script so that they can follow it. And sure, there are some terms that you might not know. You know, there are some things like B-roll or jump cut or transition elements that you could learn so that you can, it's like a shorthand, you know, it's like TBSP is tablespoon. Like that helps, anybody knows that. And the same goes for editing. So if you can learn those little fun words like SFX is a sound effect, you're going to get really efficient and communicate really efficiently with your editor.
Does your editor
is amazing.
Yeah. Does you give him a lot of leeway to add like the sound effects and the transitions?
Oh, yeah.
And stuff? He does all that.
You know, the longer you work with an editor, the easier your shorthand becomes. You know, like he'll try stuff. You know, he'll send me something and say, "What do you think of this?" Or he'll add extra sound effects. And I'm like, "That was awesome. Do that." Or sometimes I have to say, like, "Hey, you know, I think we put too much music in here. Like, let's get rid of some of this music. It's annoying." You know, so the more honest and open the relationship can be, the better each video gets, and you'll have a really fun time kind of learning to work that relationship.
All right, Ailey Judge is joining us. We both know
Ailey Judge in the
great.
house.
He's a great video expert.
Yeah, he is.
I
Big
need one of
for
those.
Ailey Judge.
And
okay,
this,
here's one for you.
Am I supposed to do this?
Yes, you have to. It's like it's like a truck horn.
Kind of, isn't it? Anyway, so this is the next question, which Drew is going to get into, but Brian also would like to know, what camera and audio gear do you use? So let's dive into your gear here.
Yeah, no problem. This is like the Gear Geek Out session. So I was prepared for this answer because Amanda was like, they're going to want to see stuff. So I put together, this is my like road package here, and I'm very proud of it because it's actually, this is like an airline like pilot's bag. So everything fits into this bag that I take on the road to shoot, with the exception of one thing. So I'll show you that in just a second. But basically all of these pieces here have my gear in it. So let me just open up the pieces and I'll start pulling stuff out and we'll go through each element. All right. So this is like my little prompter, because I told you we have the script, right? Well, I need the prompter to efficiently shoot without this with the script. And then I have all my cables going there. And then I have some headphones. These are my headphones. And then let me show you the camera and my little monitor and then sticks. So everything basically goes in that bag. And here's my little camera here. I use basically a Sony A6500. Which is a nice little, it's a nice little camera. It's nice and compact. It does have a fold out screen. The screen doesn't fold up though. So if I'm looking at it, I can't see the screen. So what I have to do is attach this guy. So this is my little like external monitor, and it just is battery operated. So I keep the batteries all in these little things. And I take the battery out, I plug it into the back of the camera, and then I pop the prompter on the front. So this teleprompter, I've been through lots of little teleprompters, but this one's great because it actually folds up, which is perfect for travel. Oh, it's really hard to open. Hold on, here we go. So this is my prompter, and it goes on the front there. It just basically slides on like this, and that's my prompter. And I put my iPad right on the front of it. You can kind of see that there. It's a little dark, but my prompter fits there. And then I read my prompter through that. And then I actually use the microphone that I'm wearing now, which is like their little Rode Micro microphones, wireless microphones. And then the last thing I need is a set of sticks or a tripod. So I actually put this in my suitcase usually because it's really big and bulky. But I've tried small mini tripods. I've tried like a million little handheld ones, and I just can't make it work. So that's essentially my gear setup when I'm on the road. Hopefully, was that helpful?
Yes, absolutely.
I hope so for Brian.
So what someone was asking microphone suggestions. So you're primarily using what's called a lavalier wireless mic.
Yes, I use a lavalier wireless mic just because I feel like I shoot in a lot of exterior locations and remote locations, and I get the best quality audio and the least amount of crap by using these like little Rode Micro wireless kit. It's great. It's awesome. I've used Rode Link. Anyway, they're great. Any wireless microphone system will probably work great for you, but I prefer a lav because I get a lot better audio.
I'd agree with that. Kim Mutzos, which you know, she wants to
Hi,
know
Kim.
how many total hours does it take to produce a video from like
Oh,
scripting all the
yeah.
way to the final.
Okay, this might sound a little depressing and disappointing if you're hoping for like real fast little TikTok, upload videos. But essentially, it from the very beginning of the process to an uploaded video on YouTube with the thumbnail and everything, it takes about 40 hours. So
Mhm.
each video is a week's worth of work total. Um, so, that's why I've had to bring on some help. So Rachel
Mhm.
helps me write the script. She's awesome. And we've been working together a year now, so she's got my voice, and that really helps. And then, we have Sean who does the editing, and he's awesome at that. And then I have somebody that helps me with like YouTube thumbnails and, writing out the session description. I mean, the video descriptions and
Okay.
keywords and stuff like that. So it's a lot of work, but it's really rewarding when the final product is something you're proud of.
And it makes a difference. Like the videos you're doing is, yes, you're putting a lot of time in it, but you can tell, right? And I always say there's a time and a place for different kinds of videos, but your videos are really, really well done. And it takes
Well,
time.
thank you.
Can't take shortcuts with that.
It's hard to take shortcuts, and I would say that a disproportionate amount of the time is spent on the scripting and the writing, because that's the cheapest part of the entire exercise, right? Like, as soon as, like, let's say I have Sean edit a whole video and then say, well, that's terrible, it needs to be completely fixed, it doesn't work right. Well, now I've just spent a huge amount of external resources, time and money and energy, editing something that needs to be re-edited completely. If you can do that on paper, it's cheap. So, you don't even have to print it. That's even cheaper, and you're saving the environment. So, work the script, and that's something that we've worked really hard at, and we're constantly trying to refine. How can we make this more efficient? What are we in love with that the audience
Mhm.
might not be? I even will record the audio version of it and send it to Rachel so she can listen. And when she gets bored, she'll like start cutting stuff from the script to keep the energy and the audience engaged.
That's a good producer.
That is a great producer, right?
Always cutting those, the talent, learning how to cut
Yeah,
the talent.
exactly.
Julie
It's
asked,
such a
40
bear.
hours, how long are the videos? They're probably like 3 minutes-ish, the average
They no, the average is long, 7 minutes.
7?
Yeah, so I have some shorter ones, but essentially they're 10 minutes or under for the most part. But they tend to they've grown longer and longer because I think the concepts have gotten, kind of
Mhm.
more and more complicated. But also I found that the audience has really enjoyed them. The real core of my audience doesn't want a superficial tip and trick, because they can get a million of those about marketing and all sorts of stuff online. Like, they don't need
Mhm.
that from me. What I'm
Right.
trying to help people do is really, think about strategically about the marketing they're doing and how to deliver a better customer experience. And for me, that takes some time, but I think it also helps, take people on a real journey instead of just promise a few tips and tricks.
Right. So you just showed us like a ton of equipment, which I know is expensive, right? And so say you're a business, a brand, you want to invest in upping your video game. Like, what's some of the first things you should take in consideration? Should you hire a person to manage it? Like, or different people like you have? Should you invest in the equipment first? Like, do you have any suggestions for how to sort of go about that?
Oh, yes. My honest to goodness answer would be to get a writer first. If you don't want to do the writing, or you don't have time to do the writing, or you don't know how to do the writing, I would say invest in the writing first, because that'll dictate what kind of equipment you need. It'll dictate what kind of video producer you need, or if you need one. It'll dictate what kind of editing talent you're going to need. So the more you think first about the script, the more effective the entire production chain is going to be. So if you write a really complicated script, like here's an easy example. If your opening shot of your very first script is like helicopter shot, of Cleveland flying into the convention center. Well, okay, we already know that your budget's going to be pretty high, and you're going to need like a helicopter pilot, or at least a drone pilot, right? But if you write that script and then say, this is the script I see, and then you say, well, how can we make this a little bit more affordable, a little bit more efficient, and like just try this, you'll start to realize pretty quickly that you can probably get a royalty-free stock video of the convention center in Cleveland as an aerial, and you don't have to pay anything for that except for your monthly fee. So for example, we use Epidemic Sound and we use story blocks to help us, add some rich texture to stuff that we can't do. Like I shot a video in Baltimore. I was kind of hurried, but I was at the museum, the aquarium in Baltimore, which was really fun. I did a little bit at the aquarium ticket line, and I really enjoyed it. And Sean was like, hey, like this could really use some stock stuff. So he got some great aerial footage of the, of the aquarium. And it really takes it to another level without having to add to the expense. So first focus on the kind of script you want to write. And then you can start to determine, do you need to just hire a production company to make this because you want it to be unbelievable? Or should you, then buy a little camera or use your iPhone to make the first version? Don't worry about the technical stuff until you have a script you're happy with. That's my honest to goodness advice.
I forgot to ask this. So what is your editor editing on? Like what software does he use?
We use Final Cut Pro X, but it's partly, which I know a lot of people are like, wow, that seems so old if you're into video editing. What do you use, Amanda?
Adobe Premiere Pro.
Adobe Premiere Pro, which is what most people use, and it has Pro in the title, which sounds really awesome.
Makes me sound like I know how to edit.
It sounds like you know more than me already. So we use Final Cut mostly because I started my career in television, and we started with, like using Avid, which is like a broadcast quality platform, but Final Cut Pro was like a very similar experience. And I've tried Adobe Premiere and I've struggled with it. So it's just because I'm old, and Sean has appeased me by using it so that I can edit as well. But you can use editing again. Like these are things that you probably don't have to worry about if you just write a great script. And then even if you're going to work with an editor, it doesn't matter what software they use. Right. You can write a script that you can still edit together in iMovie, and it'll be great.
The other thing I think, which goes back to the editing, is like, and I don't know if he's really intentional about it, but just adding like the little video effects and the little sound effects, or even just a graphic for bullet points on everything, just adds to the video. So yes, you can do a video where it's like, cut Andrew's here. He's got what they're called like stand-ups or whatever, all these different stand-ups in different places, and he's got a great personality. But I also just think those little final touches just sort of make the videos as well.
Oh, well, that's so nice of you, but I totally agree. And anybody can do that stuff. Like, again, like write it in the script, right? Like graphics, site traffic, visitors, and interest. Like there's the stuff. And that's like, I'm giving like Sean the freedom to like make it a nice looking graphic, or there's like show the ad heat mapping, like, and there's an episode we did previously. So he's basically pulling those from there. There's a graphic that says banner blindness in that video. So like there's, again, thinking through what you see is going to really help you determine what kind of tools you need, even what kind of editor you need. Sometimes you can find an editor on Fiverr that's just going to cut everything together. And if that's what you want, that's perfect. You don't need to go all in with your very first video. Start with a script and you'll be so much happier with the output.
And I think that goes, Jane was asking, what advice do you have about equipment and shooting on smartphones? And I think I shoot I haven't invested in a camera yet, because I can get away with just a little tripod, my phone, and a little lavalier mic doing what I need to do for video. So I think it just depends on kind of what you're doing. Like if you want to do Andrew's stuff, like he said, invest in all that stuff. But it depends on what you're doing. But this can work just as well.
Oh yeah, I honestly shoot a lot on my iPhone. I mean if I'm honest, I definitely use the fancy camera usually for the shots of me when I want it to look really nice. Because but I use a lot of this for B-roll and like the kind of additional shots that I want to add to the production to give it flair and flavor. Like for example, I'm shooting an episode this week about thinking like a scammer, and all these like lessons marketers could learn from looking at how scam artists like Nigerian prince scams and prisoner letter scams and stuff actually compel and inspire people to act. And so I'm going to shoot like a quill tip pen writing on a piece of paper, and I probably won't use my fancy camera for that. I'll just use my fancy iPhone to shoot a really nice slow motion shot of that. So yeah, you could absolutely use the equipment you've got, and we all have such good cameras in our phones that you don't honestly need much more.
Right. I say, if you want to just start, as I always say, just start doing it, and then you can just add on from there. Like Drew said, he used to be a one-man band, and now he's just kind of added on as he's gone.
Absolutely.
All right. So this is my final question here, since you've graciously given us your time today. So how do you know?
I'm having a blast. I hope it's helpful.
How do you know? You kind of touched on this, like what resonates with your audience, like the videos you're creating. How do you know what's working? And like Brian wants to know, do you have a favorite one that you've produced over the years you're most proud of?
Wow. I'll answer that first because that's an easy one. I actually have a video called How to Sell Like Chuck Norris, the karate guy. That is honestly one of my favorite videos I've ever done. And I shot it in a field in upstate New York where there were a bunch of, it was like near a horse track in Saratoga, New York. I was speaking there for an event, and I had so much fun shooting it. And it's not even my most popular video, but I love it. It was a ton of fun. So please enjoy How to Sell Like Chuck Norris. Yeah. And it has good sound effects. Maybe that's why I like it. And anything that involves karate. So that's my favorite one. But how do I know what's resonating? So two things. One, I do look at audience retention, especially on YouTube, which is the primary channel in which I distribute these. And it's the only one that has audience retention statistics, because like LinkedIn doesn't really. LinkedIn is the place where I get, is it resonating? So on YouTube, audience retention is showing me, are people watching most of the video? And I have about 50% audience retention, meaning that like out of all the people that start the video, half of them make it all the way through. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Half of them, that's how I retain half of the people. And for me, that's awesome. Now, I can tell when I've created a video that doesn't keep their curiosity going, because I'll see it drop way below 50%. Only 20% of the people will make it to the end of the video. So that's okay. That's what I'm learning, how to create a better video that keeps people viewing. Now on LinkedIn is where I see what resonates. And that's not by video views or audience retention. That's just by hearing and seeing the comments that people make. And the third way is on my Loyalty Loop subscription. So I have people that subscribe to the Loyalty Loop. It's just an email that I send out every Thursday that links to these videos. And I'm actually watching for how many people like send me an email back, how many reply, because lots of people click it and watch it or open it. But the people that respond, especially when it's something that's resonated with them, like really hits a chord. And that to me really helps me understand what is working, what are they liking, what's challenging them, and what are they learning. So those are kind of the three ways. Is that helpful, Amanda? I hope so.
It's helpful to me. Yeah, I hope so. Okay. It makes sense. And Jane is asking, how do you ensure you don't overshoot? I always shoot with too much video. So she's like, is it just sticking to the script? And I would say yes, right?
Yes, look, I'm an infamous overshooter, and before I was writing a comprehensive video side of the script, here's what used to happen, and this is like very, very, very me. Like I would write the audio side of the script for myself, and I'd get so excited, I'd be like, forget it, I'll figure out the video side later while I'm shooting. And what would happen is I'd want a little sequence of me like making coffee. And I'd shoot for like 47 minutes of me making coffee. I had extreme close-ups and slow motion, and I had like from 43 different angles. And then I'd hand it all to Sean, and he'd be like, hey man, I got 40 minutes of you making coffee, but no B-roll to cover any other edits in the entire thing. Like, so I understand overshooting. If you don't write a video script that has a comprehensive shot list, you will be prone to overshoot because it's fun. And that can be really enjoyable. But if you stick to the script, you'll remove that tendency, I would say.
I agree with that. All right, Drew, thank you so much for joining us today. How can people find you? I've been putting up your YouTube page, your
that's so nice.
Twitter, your website. Does it matter?
Those are the best ones. Yeah, you can. I mean, if you want to sign up for the loyalty loop, you can go to loyaltyloopers.com and just sign up and use the secret code. Let's come up with a good one. Amanda rocks. That's the
Perfect.
secret code. Just put in that secret code, Amanda rocks, and then I'll know that you came from here, and I can send you a template to the video script so that you can try it for yourself.
Perfect. All right. Thank you. Thank everyone for joining us today and all the awesome questions. Like I said, it always makes for a more engaging conversation when you guys ask questions of our awesome guests. So thank you, Drew. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah,
I'll
thank
see
you
you
guys.
back
Bye.
here at noon next Monday. Have a good week.
You got it. Bye. Bye, everyone. Bye, Amanda. Bye, Haley Judge. See you later.